What's up, guys? Welcome to Behind the Lens podcast. Today we have a good friend, Shawn McGuire. He's a filmmaker. He has his own business and he's on some of the biggest stage filming the top entrepreneurs around the country. So he is going to be talking about his strengths, what his breakthroughs of how he has been able to level up his business. And it's going to be a fun episode and I can't wait to dive in. Shawn, for the viewer out there, describe what you do. How did you get involved in filmmaking?
Sure. So I primarily work with authors and high-ticket coaches who are throwing events and, basically have communities or a following. And a lot of times they offer coaching, whether that's like teaching real estate or how to write a book or how to do video. And I got started around 2018, 2019 timeframe.
Nice.
Casey Neistat was at his peak on YouTube. So I was watching his daily vlogs and I just thought like videos and documenting the story and having that kind of time capsule of like that moment would be so cool. So it just kind of evolved from iPhone footage, and then I bought a Sony RX100 III, little point and shoot. And so I thought that thing was sweet. And then I met some friends who had the new Sony A7S II right when that came out.
Okay.
And he turned out to be my roommate. We ended up becoming roommates, and he's like, you can just use the camera. I don't ever really use it. And then I would just take it with me and kind of mess around. And then finally it was like, okay, I think I could do this once I met somebody else locally. And a mutual friend was like, yeah, that guy's doing really well. He made like $150K last year doing photos and videos. And I was like, well, if he can do it and he lives here in Vegas, there's definitely a market for, photo and video. So that kind of was the aha moment for me of there's an opportunity here.
Exactly.
And then slowly just kind of found my way. At first I was working with a lot of YouTubers and some of the arts district nightclubs or things going on locally, just getting my feet wet. And then probably about three and a half years ago, I branched into kind of the event space with masterminds.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ryan Pineda. He's the one, shout out really to Justin Berry, but it was 50 people at the first one, and they put them on every quarter, and now they're 1,200 people plus, on these quarterly events. And through that, it really kind of snowballed with meeting other entrepreneurs that are talking at different events and conferences and meeting other videographers too.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just really enjoy the event space. So I kind of went with the path of least resistance and kept on finding more opportunity with, events, conferences, masterminds.
Yeah. And I think the event space is so unique because us behind the camera, we're learning from these top level entrepreneurs, how they run their business, how they are building teams. And then we're filming, but we get to learn from that and go, how can we implement this into our video production business? And I think if you are starting out in filmmaking, getting in the event space is like a cheat sheet to jump, the whole just filming and shooting, but you can actually learn quicker because you're around people that have done it. And you get to go backstage when you're filming on stage. Shawn is basically the gimbal master. And one of the things, guys, that he does is he's on stage with these top level entrepreneurs. Can you share a little bit about kind of your role for Shawn Cannell's event for Wealthy Creator with Ryan Pineda?
Sure. Yeah. So I think at the first event, it was nobody else really, I feel wanted to do the gimbal. And I was one of the only contractors at Ryan's event. So I said, I'll do it. I'd love to do it. And the stage was small and there's 50 people. And then it slowly got bigger and bigger. And now, there's the whole, what is it? The AV companies with the pipes and drapes. And It's a lot bigger production, but that's the money shot, is getting
Yep.
the speaker, the entrepreneur, author out on stage, getting everybody on their feet, round of applause. Um, at first, I used to get a little nervous, like going on stage in front of people, but then I like quickly realized like nobody's paying attention to me. Like everyone's just looking at the keynote.
Exactly.
So that's been fun. It's a great opportunity that I'm super thankful for. And then like you said, in backstage, you get to have, maybe short little conversations or hear conversations of what people are saying, be that fly on the wall, and just try to constantly absorb, as the day's going on.
Oh yeah. So Shawn, my biggest thing is, so people watching this out right now, what is your, like, if they're trying to get into the event space, what kind of advice would you give them if they want to become like an event videographer?
Sure. Yeah. Good question. I'd say start going to events, bring your camera, start just taking photos and videos, for free. Like I'll even still do jobs today to this day for free. I think it's just kind of part of the industry, and it's like, it doesn't hurt to have like an IOU to a friend where you're like, hey, I helped you with this. Will you help me with that?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying to like always work for free. Be
Right.
selective, do it where it's like, then you can ask them back for a favor.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'd say go to the events and just start capturing them. Like the first few that I would go to, prior even to WealthCon, I remember going and just volunteering. Like the first growth video,
Oh yeah.
as volunteering, and then talk to the event organizers, talk to the other videographers or the creators that work for the different speakers, because nearly every entrepreneur in the space, if they're at an event, they have the vision or the want to start their own event.
Yes.
And so, we've been in the room where they ask, like, how many of you want to write a book? How many of you want to, put on an event like this? Most hands go up. So if anybody's having an event, even if it's not that big, if it's a smaller meetup, like, go to there, get your feet wet, and then, try to find somebody who's doing what you want to do and learn from them. That's the quickest shortcut.
Oh, it is. And I think like, being in that event space, like just being around other creatives, other videographers, because usually all these entrepreneurs have their own video teams, their own videographers. And like, if you can make that connection or swap, Instagrams and like start following them, sometimes they might need a favor on a shoot or a gig outside of the country. Say, hey, I met you, really like you. Can you help me with this event? And that's how I've been able to get some leads as well, where it's just like, they see your quality work, they see who you are, and they're like, hey, can you help me out? And that's the reason to be in these rooms, because of the relationships and the amazing people that you meet.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I think you said it best, it's collaboration over competition.
Yes.
So when you meet other video guys, it's more times than not like, hey, maybe one of us could help the other one out when things might be fast and busy for you and it's slow for me. You can bring me on some gigs.
Exactly.
Maybe I have an exciting project and it's slow for you. You can come help me. And I've had so many opportunities just from other creators who are like, hey, I know you're in Vegas, or hey, I met you at this one event. So don't sleep on like talking to the other creators or, videographers that are there, because that's the one thing that's cool about with these events too, is everyone's there in the room because of social media. We're at WealthCon because they saw an ad or they saw an organic post talking about it, and that person's like, I want to be in the room. So I think we're starting to get to the point where it's like everyone knows, okay, I need to do content, I need a personal brand, I need social media, especially in these rooms where like the proof is in the pudding of us all being there literally from them posting on socials.
Exactly. And like the cool relationship with like me and Shawn, we've been able to film for each other on different gigs and different companies. Like last year, he got to film like this amazing, just epic, like Bollywood wedding that we got. And, then we got to film like this cool country music. I think, what was it? The CMAs?
Yeah, it was Ian Munsick.
Yeah.
Had a documentary that premiered at the Beverly Theater. And we had like a 5 or 6 person crew.
Yep.
I have the video, actually. I should show you.
Oh, yeah.
It came out sick. But that was sweet. Like it was like 6-person crew, and we got to
Yep.
hire all of our friends and some of the hybrid of like church WealthCon friends that
Yeah.
we've worked with before. And that's what's fun for me is when we
Mhm.
can work together. Like I'm a little, I get more excited working with groups versus like if the client just hires me.
Right. Oh yeah. There's just something about working with the squad or the group of, just people, because it's also less on your shoulders. Like for that event, you had a sound guy. I was doing video. You were directing, and like it's so much fun because each person has their place. But usually on most of these gigs that we do, it's like one man band.
Yeah.
So we have to learn the audio, the sound, the visuals, how to make an epic recap video, sound design, lighting. And like as a creative, as a business owner, there's so much that you have to learn. And the client honestly doesn't understand. Like our job is replacing 5 to 6 people when back in the day you can do it like that.
Yeah. How nice was it to have a sound guy on that shoot?
Gosh, it was a dream.
We had Brandon on. It was a blue carpet instead of
Yep.
red carpet, and then we had a sound guy with the boom arm. So it was just like crystal clear sound, just right over the person.
Oh man, I can't wait to see the video.
Yeah,
We'll have
it
to-
turned out sick. Maybe we'll drop it in the comments.
Right?
No, we won't.
Awesome. All right, Shawn. So let's talk about, just some of, your breakthroughs like in the industry. Like what have been some of the highlights of, running a business?
Sure. Well, the highlights. I mean, I think the kind of probably typical answers of like, videographer, content creator, being able to travel to places I've never been before.
Right.
That's always kind of a plus added perk. And then I think just getting into rooms that maybe I'm not quite qualified to be in,
Right.
but the fact that I can make somebody look and sound as good as the value they provide with camera allows me to be in there and then just be a fly on the wall, listen, and do what I'm there to do, which is, create content. I think one of the biggest, like the coolest highlights was getting to meet and work with Noah Kagan.
Ooh.
I've been a big fan of him since 2011. And so, like, I feel like an OG Noah Kagan fan. And then, going back to what we said earlier, making friends with other creators. I was friends with Jeremy, his video producer, his YouTube producer, and he had a podcast. I was commenting on that, engaging with him regularly. Slid in the DMs and was like, hey, if you're ever in Vegas and you want to grab food, let me know. We can go get tacos. Because if you know Noah Kagan, he loves tacos. That's kind of like his, I don't know, mascot,
Right.
Like instead of doing like bullet notes in his emails, it'll be the taco, And then Jeremy said, hey, actually me and Noah are coming to Vegas. We're going to be doing a video. Send me your sizzle reel.
Right.
And I sent him my sizzle reel and he's like, this looks good. What are your day rates? And then I told him and he said, could you do it for this? And I was like, sure. And then we filmed for a day and got to go around town and interview, a bunch of people. So that was really cool because like I had applied to AppSumo, Noah's company, twice during COVID and I didn't even hear back.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I'm like filming with him and getting paid. This is awesome,
Dude.
So that was really cool. Just getting to meet some of these guys, it's cool. They're kind of, on the bucket list or you kind of idolize, look up to them.
Right.
Some people say don't meet your heroes, but all the ones I've met so far have not disappointed me. So it's been nice. But yeah, I think just getting to do things that might not be out, it's not a typical 9 to 5 at a desk. Sometimes you might be out in the field or, might be out in the desert, it might be super sweaty, or you might be in like a commercial kitchen freezer filming your butt off, like it's just the places I've found myself have been like pretty random, but it's fun. It keeps it exciting.
Oh, it is. And I think like everything, being a filmmaker, you never know where your next call, your next email is going to take you. And that is one of the highlights about this job. It's like, oh, I'm filming, like you were in Montana or you're in Hawaii. Like we get to travel places, film high level entrepreneurs and rooms that people are paying $5,000, $10,000 to be in. We're filming, and it's like it's a blessing. And time sometimes you just have to like take a step back and go, "This is so cool," and just listen and take it all in.
Yeah, no, it's super cool. I mean, sometimes it feels like a little bit of a cheat because it's like, oh, like we're being paid to be here, but same time it is work.
Yep.
I've tracked well over 20,000 steps on some days
Oh,
at
yeah.
events. So wear 2 pairs of socks. That's my
Right.
pro tip. Stretch it out, take care of the body.
Oh yeah.
How's it been for you with, WealthCon and Grow with Video?
Oh yeah. So WealthCon, and like we'll go into like Ryan Pineda's WealthCon events. Like he throws amazing events, and just to be a part of like that team and see like Justin and just Spencer and Austin, like having their systems dialed in, and then just bringing us in to complement what they're doing, and just seeing everybody win. And they're just such a group of just the whole team is just there to do the job.
Mhm.
Like, we're filming, and then we're dumping footage to Spencer, and then he already has the highlight video already done before lunch playing on the big screens. And it's just like, it's a well-oiled machine, but it's just cool to be around the squad and just, film and capture moments and memories and, help for a bigger cause in what they're building.
Sure.
And it's just like that. And the same thing with Grow with Video, it's just like you have the wealthy team, then you have the think team.
Yeah.
And it's just like, with Kyle Anderson and just like what they're building, and just to be a part of what Shawn's building. It's so cool because they're the GOATs in the video space, and like are basically at the top, and it just trickled down. And for us to learn from them and to us to film, I'm just like, how blessed are we?
So fortunate. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But it's just been amazing just to film. And I think what we have done for those events is like everybody has a system. Everybody knows what their job is.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not being overworked. We know, like, I know your strengths. We dial in beforehand, like, okay, Shawn's going to get the shots. I will get the tight shots. Then we'll drop off the footage. And it's just that well-oiled machine. It's cool to see it all work together.
Sure. Yeah. Everyone has their role, and then it's just like people afterwards think it's like a magic trick. Like, you guys edited that video today?
Right.
It's like, yeah, Spencer is behind stage,
Oh,
it's like Wizard of Oz. Like, he's behind the curtain, yeah, but yeah, I love those events. It's such good energy, and just like the community around it. It's a total testament of your vibe your vibe attracts your tribe.
Yep.
And so, the people that go to these things are just awesome people to be around.
Oh, they are.
High achievers, super curious, motivated.
Mm-hmm. And wanting to get to the next level.
Yeah.
Like everybody's like, how can I get here? And then so many people come up to us and like, oh, you're filming. Like, what is it like? Like their eyes are just like wide open. Like, I'm talking to you. Like, weren't you just on stage filming? And yeah. And it's just like providing those tips of like when we started, and giving them advice, because like we were once there. Sure. And be able to give back. It's like, okay, here's my Sony camera. This is how I film. Here's my settings. This is how I get everything dialed in. And it's just like cool to give back, and like to see these people just ask questions on the job.
Yeah. And then too, it's like collaborating, bringing each other on projects, but also then when you're on projects together, you can learn. So like you might have one way of like shooting through people, or like, I always like to go behind like pillars or posts so you can do a mask. And just when you work together, that's when those like moments happen, or like the breakthroughs where it's like, oh, let me show you how to do this. And then that's,
Right. And I think that's the cool thing too, is just being able to like, I've learned so much from you. I've learned so much from Austin and Justin. Like we're all learning, and that just makes the overall film or the overall product so much better. And just like the, social media reels that we're all producing, and just the micro content. It's just like, you have a question. It's like, hey, I'll give Shawn a call, or like the community here is strong. And like, I think that's part of, what we're building here, is just like, if anybody has questions, like, hey, just give them a call. We're always here to help. Like, that's the cool thing about it.
Totally.
But Shawn, so what is like, people want to know probably like, what is your go-to setup in 2024?
Go-to setup, well, it has to start with the Sony
Yep.
gang. I'm a A7S III user, and then typically at events I'm shooting wide or mid shots, so like the 17 to 28, 28-75. I'm on the RSC2 gimbal. It's super old. I'm using it till it dies.
Nice.
It's on its last leg, but it's still got some, gas in the tank.
Yeah.
But I think I might get the new gimbal once it upgrades. I might get the new gimbal because I saw there's been an upgrade. What is it? The DJI 4?
It's the vertical. So now you could literally mount your camera.
Yeah.
Sony FX3 already has the cage. You can mount it vertically.
Wow.
And it's a game changer because now you don't have to rebalance. Literally, I think it's one click of a button. And and as filmmakers, how that's a game changer where you don't have to go, oh, I have to rebalance it because everybody wants horizontal. So the big problem that I'm seeing is people now want horizontal and they want vertical, both kinds of content. So as filmmakers, you have to start looking out. How can I film horizontal, but make sure it's in the vertical lines? And I've been getting this almost on every shoot now. Can you make it vertical? And can you do horizontal? So you have to start thinking outside the box. Like on some different tools like the Atomos, you can actually block out the frame so you can see what you're seeing.
Oh, nice.
So a little cheat sheet. I've done that a couple times, but yeah. How is your input on just horizontal and vertical? Like, what do you prefer?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I can go either way. If you compose the shot wide enough and you have the person centered, you can, and I have the lower thirds in the grid with the diagonal, so I can see like, oh, this is what it will look like vertical.
Yep.
So a lot of times you have to, do that now, but it kind of takes away from like having the super artsy shots where it's like the thirds and there's like a lot of headspace going this way or something. But yeah, I mean, it's like vertical rules the short-term attention span, like that's where like TikTok and Instagram is. And then, people are using that as kind of their bait or their funnel to get you to the long form, which will be your horizontal. So it's something that is, new for all of us in the, this digital renaissance that we're in with all the new apps and stuff coming out. But
so talk about like, our space moves honestly like daily. There's new apps, there's new ways to edit. AI is making a huge push in this space where it's like you're doing these social media reels and now add captions, and there's an AI clip that, it's already generated and it's not even filmed on a camera. Like, so social media is moving fast, and I think we have to understand how to adapt daily, monthly, because what was working, a couple years ago is not working now. So as a creative, we always have to think for our clients, how are we going to continually adapt to produce high level content for them?
Yeah, it's faster than it's ever been, I feel like.
Every day is a new post.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I think back when I started and back to Casey Neistat with the daily vlogs, he was the first one to do daily vlogs. And then the Paul brothers delegated and had an editor. And then cut to now, think of how many people we know that have editors or are posting every day.
Oh my gosh.
Or, you break it down onto the vertical platforms and they're posting 6 or 7 times a day. So, I think people will always want to consume content and be entertained and have a quench for knowledge and entertainment. And
exactly. And I think one of the things too is that's what people want, to be entertained. They want you to solve a problem through content. And they honestly, I feel like storytelling's huge. And, with podcasting is getting to know who you really are, what do you do, and just being able to share your story. That's the cool thing about this platform where we could dive in talk about what, we have learned and helping others. And that's what it's all about in the end of the day.
Totally.
Oh, yeah. So, Shawn, let's talk about, if there was, a videographer out there wanting to, just get their foot in the door, how would you, recommend that?
Sure. It's kind of going off of what we've heard some of our other friends say. Justin Barry, go to church and join like the serve team. You can help get involved with videos there, or just find somebody who's done it, already before, and learn from them. Maybe you have to work for free at first, but we've all been there. We've all done free jobs, and you can learn on the job and see somebody doing it in real life. Get on YouTube, watch tutorials.
Yep.
Go to events.
Oh, yeah. And I think like the cool thing when I first started, like I'll share a little story. Like I think it was 2018, 2017. I finished, I was done playing baseball, all that stuff. Came back to Vegas, and then I started watching YouTube. And who was I watching? Casey Neistat.
Nice.
The Daily Vlog. He was in the height, like you were saying. And I was like, this is epic. Storytelling, camera equipment. He's in New York City. And like, he really captivated me because of his like filmmaking techniques. And I was like, that story, like the stories he was telling was so cool. And then I was like following like Peter McKinnon. And I was like, saw the B-roll, like the 120 frames. And I'm like, this is super smooth. And I think like when you first start out, it's like you gravitate towards those kind of icons of like your filming style. And you get to learn like storytelling, how to film like epic B-roll. So like in the beginning, learning from people, that's the way you grow in this industry. It's just being around, even if you have to do it for free or intern, and just get your foot in the door, because that's going to open up opportunities. And it really is a skill as a videographer, a filmmaker. It takes time to learn all the tools necessary to succeed.
What would you say has helped you become a better storyteller?
Oh, man. I think like, it's just learn, make, repeat, where it's like every time I would edit a film, I would say, how can I make this 1% better? Or how can I make it better? And looking back just through my edits and getting down in the weeds, that's how I feel like it's made me a better storyteller, because I'm editing those projects. And each film, I'm like, oh, I should have done that. It's because I'm editing. And a lot of people, they delegate the editing, but I think when you're first starting out, learn to tell those stories, because the editing is the magic. Because everybody can film something, but it's, you give it to an editor, that could be 100 to 200 different ways. So learn. How about you, Shawn?
Yeah, no, I think, learn the editing, learn, do, repeat. That's great. I think that's well said. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I probably started delegating too early. I think in my career, I could have probably gone a little bit deeper with the editing.
Right.
So I agree with that.
Oh, yeah. And it's a grind, a lot of late nights. You're just like, that's the thing that people don't understand, I think. You go film a vet, or let's talk about filming. Like people go, oh, you're just going to film for an hour. But let's talk about the pre-production, the filming, and the post-production. So like for an hour shoot, you have to make sure your batteries are charged. You got to pack up everything. SDs are ready. Do you have your mics in place? Then you have to drive. Then you have to get on shoot. Then imagine you film 50 to 100 different clips. You film, then you go home. You got to organize it. You got to upload it. Then you have to put it on a timeline. Then you have to, it's just like.
Find a song.
Yeah. Make sure the audio's good.
Yeah.
Color grade it.
Yeah.
Tweak it. And then you send it off to the client.
Yeah.
And see what they say. So for a 1 hour shoot, you're talking about 4 to 5 hours on the, the back end, just like, diving in. Tell us a little bit kind of about your workflow. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, the editing's always the hard part. I try, if I know I'm editing it or they need a clip.
Yeah.
Now it's hard. You can't always do this, but I try to shoot for the edit if I know I'm going to
Yep.
edit it, and like maybe I'm the only videographer. Then it's like, okay, I'm going to be very efficient, be like a sniper, and just get the clips I need so I can just edit it. And then maybe after I get those first like 15 shots that I'll use in the edit, then you can kind of go a little bit more liberal with recording.
Exactly.
So if you can shoot for the edit, that can save a lot of time.
Oh, it is. And that's what I've done over like the last year is like shooting to edit, and literally you can bust out that edit, but it takes time. Like you can give somebody where it would take like 2, 3 to 5 hours or a couple days. But if you have a system to shoot to edit, now you can say, oh, I could get this done less than an hour. But that's because of experience. You've done it before. You know how to create your creative style. But shoot to edit is the biggest thing if you really want to, be successful. And, especially at these conferences, people want same day edits now.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, there needs to be a video done because they're like, okay, now they can push it. They can get more reach. They can get more eyeballs on their personal brand. And that's the power of like the same day edits. And people are like, wow, you already got it done? Is it magic? How did that get done so quick? So I think that's huge. Just, learning how to, just film to edit.
Totally.
Oh yeah. And then Shawn, let's talk about, anything that you want to bring to, the viewer out there discussing like filmmaking, like any tips personally that you want for them to hear?
Another good question. I think, the learning won't stop.
Yep.
Just because, there's always new apps coming out. Like think of CapCut, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like that wasn't out when we were starting and now it's huge. Or like
Yep.
DaVinci Resolve.
Oh yeah.
So always keep learning. I would say keep meeting new people. I think that has been a game changer, just like the community we have here in Vegas and who we surround ourselves with. So find your community, find your tribe. And, I think, and maybe you could talk on this too, but, at first it's like you learn how to operate a camera because you like making videos, but then you really have to learn how to evolve into like a marketer, entrepreneur, because just knowing how to make videos is only one element of the business.
Yes.
And so I think, when I first got a camera, I thought like, oh, like everyone's going to know and like come to me. And,
Yeah.
it didn't happen. So I think, find a way to learn the marketing side and learn how to track and control your expenses.
Oh yeah. And I think it's like, that's one piece of the puzzle, like learning your equipment. And then, now it's like, okay, how to edit. Now it's like how to market. Then it's like, okay, contracts. Then it's payroll. Then it's taxes. Like people don't realize. And then like for me, it's like profit and loss. Like how much profit are you making? How much are you losing? You got to figure out what your numbers are, because filmmaking is a very expensive business to be in, with cameras, with SD cards for, the Sonys, $400 if you want to film in 120 frames. Then you have to buy external storage, make sure it's backed up, and like I was looking at this today, Kyle was showing me like external storage just for the base is like $1,000. And then
does he have a Synology?
Yep.
Yeah, I got one like him. He showed me. Yeah.
So I'm gonna get one, and it's just so cool but I'm like, if you want everything backed up properly, then you go, okay, now it goes to the cloud after.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah. No, I think he showed me a few years ago his Synology NAS like drive. It's like a 4-bay.
Yep.
So I got like the same one, but now I got the notification it's half full.
Really?
And I have like
how many years?
Like 2 years maybe.
That's good.
2.5, but it's like I think 28 terabytes or something, and it was like half full, and I was like, no, right? Like how is that half full already?
Man.
So
it's just unreal. But yeah, filmmaking it gets expensive, like lenses, and people don't realize that too. It's like, a Sennheiser mic is like almost like $1,000 if you want like good quality audio.
Yeah.
And then these lights, 1,000. Like it's just like, just learning, what you need. You don't need expensive gear to get started, but I think quality matters like as you continue to grow for your personal brand. And it's just like it's a difference maker. But like when you're starting, just learn with what you have. Yeah. Like I started on a phone, you started on, and it's just like how can you make it that good and then level up as you continue to grow.
You just made me think of a funny thought. Like when I had a 50 prime Zeiss lens when I got started. And like I just remember once they're like, "Oh, can you like zoom out?" And I was like, "Yeah, hold on." And I just backed up because I couldn't get any closer or further. So it's just like use those constraints to like bring creativity.
Yep.
It might not be ideal, but do with what you can, with what you got.
Yeah, the nifty 50.
Yeah.
That was my first lens too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this? It's a 1.8. And then I realized I can't zoom in, zoom out either.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
And then, there's a wide angle. Oh, there's a telephoto. Like so many things you learn and it's just crazy.
I remember I like didn't know at first what this is embarrassing, but hopefully relatable to somebody. I didn't know like you could keyframe and like speed ramp.
Oh yeah.
So you'd watch my footage and I'd walk really slow and then I'd walk really fast and then I'd slow down. And I didn't realize, you could do all this in post.
Yep.
So like my first few clips, it was like the footage had the speed ramp like built into it, 'cause that was me just like trying to like, be clever with it. But it's funny when you look back and you see like how much we didn't know.
Oh, I know. But that's the journey is the funnest part.
Yeah. That's why I try to keep reminding myself.
Oh, yeah.
Enjoy the journey.
Enjoy it. I'm a big journey guy.
Yeah.
But
how'd you become such a big journey guy? Would you have advice to somebody who maybe like me who's not a journey guy? How could I be more of a journey guy?
Oh, see, that's the thing. Like, man, like for me, it's always been like because of baseball, right? It's, it's a long season. You have like in college, it's like, okay, you can't just.
How many games did you play in college?
In college, I think it was like over like 60.
Oh, wow.
So 60 games, that's a journey, right?
Yeah. And then what time period? Like what was the season?
I think it's like from February through end of like early June, like right after school or May. And then, so as a baseball player, as an athlete, you can never get too high and you can never get too low. So say you had a great game, you went like 4 for 4, 5 RBIs, like game-winning hit, like that's great, but tomorrow you have a game. So you can enjoy that ride, but now you go, I can't get too cocky because I have that game tomorrow. And imagine you go 0 for 3, strike out 3 times. Now, what's the next game? So that taught me about the journey. Never get too high, never get too low, but kind of like stay on that even plane of like, okay, it's 60 games. Take one day at a time, enjoy the process, and then maybe at the end of the season, you're in the playoffs. Now you can really play for something greater with the team. And that's kind of like how, through baseball, that's how I kind of like evolved like the journey.
Wow. Mm-hmm. I love that. Do you remember any times where you had like a really low or
Oh yeah. And I think like as baseball, because when you're an athlete, you're going to school, you're on scholarship. Like I was blessed to play for scholarship, but then it's like, it's just baseball. Like you don't have really any other outlet. So it's like one town to another, one game to another. And it's like, sometimes you could get in your head of like, man, if I suck today and like the coach benches you, that's a low. How am I going to rebound from that? Because it's just every day you're just like, okay, like I said, it's just, if you had a low, you got to figure out how can I make that into a high and get better. And just because baseball's a hard game, hitting 95-mile-an-hour fastballs right down the plate and just like the team, and it's a team sport, but just be able to, and I've been grateful to play on some like amazing teams. And just, that's where like, I was like, as a filmmaker, I'm like, as a business owner, I'm like, how cool is it to have this community, have this team of people that we can count on, and just like, oh, I trust you and I trust you. Like, let's, you want to come on this shoot? Yeah, let's have fun. So it's like, it's been a great journey, as I would say.
That's great.
Oh yeah. So
great
Shawn,
tie in there.
right? Yeah. Oh yeah. So anything else, Shawn, for the viewer, that you would want to, I would say, we covered most, but one piece of advice that you've learned.
One piece of advice.
Or a mentor has taught you in this industry.
Just try to be so likable and friendly and like unforgettable at these events, because everyone's going in with the same kind of apprehension or like uncertainty. Like, I don't know anyone. And like, should I say hi? And like, when in doubt, say hi, smile. You never know who anyone's going to be. So that would be my thing. When in doubt, say hi and smile.
Right. Exactly. And it's like, every time I see you at events, it's like, you're going up to people, you're saying hi, you're creating those relationships where it's like, you see that opportunity and you just want to be, you're just you. And I think a lot of videographers don't realize that maybe they're behind the curtain, but like, if you could just say hi and talk to people, that's going to open doors and lead you into different, places that you never imagined of being there. So being friendly, saying hi, and just starting a conversation it's a game changer.
That's all it takes. It just takes one.
That's it?
Yeah.
So true. Well, Shawn, amazing podcast. It was a blessing just to talk filmmaking, really dive into, your journey and what you're doing here in the entrepreneur space as a filmmaker in Vegas. So just love seeing you on IG, crushing it every day, and super proud to call you my friend, brother.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Let's go.
All right, cool.
And if you like that, guys, hit the subscribe button. And if you have any questions for Shawn or me, just leave them in the comments below, and we'll love to answer them. All right, see you on the next episode, and let's go.